Hello, Hollywood Times viewers. Today we're honored to have a magician, martial artist, and author, Tom Merseroll. Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I assume you're magical.
Well, that was what I should have said, except for some reason, I forgot. I am always magical.
So why don't you tell our viewers how you and I met?
We met at the Academy of Magical Arts Award show, which was not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, whatever that date was. And we got talking. We were in line actually for the buffet and everything. But I was there for two reasons. First of all, I'm a member of the Academy and member of the Magic Castle, etc. But it was really this time for Max Maven. And also, I give $1,000. Well, I'll tell $1,000 check to the juniors, whoever wins the juniors awards. I'll go back to Max Maven first. Max is a dear friend. We just had him over for dinner Wednesday with some other magicians. He's really, I believe he's the most famous mentalist ever. I mean, there was Dunninger back in like the 40s, but Max is listed as the most influential, one of the most influential magicians of the 20th century. A lot of people would recognize. If you look up Max Maven, you'll see it with the goatee and that little peak thing, whatever.
Yes.
But Max has been ill, so yeah, yeah. And I know the Hall of Fame also. It's the Society of American Magicians, SAM, also gave him something from the Hall of Fame that they have. It was another certificate that they presented to Max. Max was the thing. And he had just gotten back from FISM, which I'm not going to remember what it stands for, but I know the I is international and the M is magicians. It's the international group for all magicians in the world. They have a conference every 3 years with competitions and etc. And if you win that, I mean, that's really big to win FISM for close-up or parlor or stage or whatever. Max was also presented a Lifetime Achievement Award at that. He got a 7-minute standing ovation.
Oh.
And I mean, he told me first, I was like, sure. And then I saw it in all the, magic journals and everything. It was like,
right.
Wow. So
how can we find that to view that? Can you find it on YouTube? His award?
I don't know if that's on YouTube. Because I have not seen it, but it's a good question. There's a lot of stuff on Max on YouTube. Right. But and I have to say, because you were at the award show, when Mac King, who I'm going to say magician in Vegas, longest running show at the same hotel or whatever, Mac is hilarious, family magician, and he's a really cheap, inexpensive ticket price, like $19.
No
and
way.
I tell anybody, if they go to Vegas, there's David Copperfield, there's David Blaine, fine, but they're like, or Penn and Teller's a good friend, but it's like $250 or whatever. But Max like 19, and you'll love it. Anybody, I know that's my little. But anyway, Mac King was up there and presenting to Max the big fellowship award. And Max and Lance Burton grew up in the same town in the South. So they were kids like 14 years old. They went to Tana's Magic Camp up in Michigan. And they were in the audience, and Max Maven performed. And you probably heard some of this because Mac talked about it.
Yeah.
But Max said, we were just like, what the heck? Never seen anything like what Max was doing, the mentalism and everything else. So they went backstage to talk to Max. And Max said, to say that Max was a little curt. And then the audience, where you were, broke up because Max was always Max. It was when I performed at the close-up gallery at the Magic Castle. One time, Max was in the audience, and it was the most nervous I've ever been because he's just an icon in the magic community, and he knows magic history. If you perform a card trick or something, he'll say, "Oh yeah, that was originally performed by Lucille so and so back in 1927." Thanks, Max. And then it got this, and then and that's whatever. Max knows everything about that. So It's
Oh,
wonderful to spend time with him.
oh,
We were members of a group called the Elders, Max and I, which was for invitation only mentalists. People perform. So once a month they meet, and Max was a member of that. So we knew each other. We also had a mutual friend, Eugene Berger, who was an incredible philosopher of magic, and they were best friends. But at the Elders, Max would like give me notes on things that I performed and everything. And actually, I performed something in the backyard for all of these magicians the other day. It's something I came up with.
well, welcome back, folks. We had a little bit of technical difficulties.
It was my fault, and I'm an astrophysicist. So it kind of, my wife says, yeah, you're brilliant on all this stuff. I have papers on quantum entanglement and things and whatever. And my wife says, but you can't work the clicker for the TV. I'm like, well, it's not quantum. It's, whatever.
It's not
But
that
yeah,
kind of brain.
yeah. Well, I have left and right because I was an actor in New York. My wife and I
Yes.
were actors in New York City back in the late 70s, 80s. She studied with Strasberg. I studied with Sanford Meisner, but we did a bunch of shows, summer stock back there. And we grew up in the same town in New Jersey, Lawrenceville, New Jersey, where there's the prep school. And it used to be all boys, and now it's co-ed, which is nice.
Yeah.
But we needed women for the shows. So that was at another prep school, and we brought in the women. She was a great actress, and we met there. I had a crush. Never asked her out because, again, it's like Max Maven. She was on a pedestal. It was the great Annette Cascone, But then my wife passed away, and it's okay, from brain aneurysm. No, it's 10 years ago. And then Annette and I, she asked me to, she's an author. She's written 35 books, dead time stories. She wrote many of the Goosebumps, because I
Really?
shouldn't say this, but R.L. Stine didn't do a lot of the writing.
Ghostwriter.
Yeah. So for Goosebumps.
Ghostwriter. Yeah, Ghostwriter.
So
good for her.
yeah, she did that. Dead time stories taught a lot of people how to read. She toured the country, and then it was made into a TV show for Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So when I told her about my wife dying and whatever, she said, well, let's get together when I'm out there, because I'm filming this TV show. And it was like, okay. I mean, well, I should have said something else. I was at a magic history conference, so it's all about magic. And I found out that a mutual friend of Annette and I had died, passed away. She was in a show with Doug Henning called Merlin on Broadway.
Wow.
And so I was like, it just popped into my head. And this was while my wife was still alive. And I was like, God, I wonder if Annette Cascone knows, because we were like a triumvirate together, acting all over in New York. Right. So I looked her up, famous author, whatever, but right. I had no email address. So I snail mailed the publisher a note, and it got to her. And first thing on it was like, I don't know if you remember me, because I used to pick her up when she was not old enough to drive every day to go to summer stock. So, but it's a long time ago. It's 40 years. So anyway, she wrote me back and said, and I told her I had a wife, 2 children and everything. She wrote me back. And that was when she said, of course I remember you. And I'm out in LA a lot filming my Dead Time Stories series.
Yeah.
So as it happened, and she came over here. This is my library, by the way, which Beautiful. It's mostly magic.
I can't wait to come and borrow a book.
I don't lend books.
Oh, he's one of those. I get it.
No, I do if I know it's coming back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I have, I don't want to divert yet. We'll go back to my library in a second. So on Annette's show, and as soon as I saw her, well, actually, so my wife died a month after I got back in touch with Annette, and I sent out this massive note to everybody, and it was just kind of synchronous on everything. And then Annette came over here with like we were in high school again. And it was great. And I was already starting to have some feelings. And then she said, hey, we're filming the last Dead Time Stories. And the kid needs to learn how to do some magic tricks, some flourishes, with cards. Yeah. And he needs to learn how to juggle. Can you do that in a day? Or actually a few hours?
Oh
And
my
I was like, for you? Yes. So I did, taught him a little bit of stuff. And I also played the killer clown in the last episode. It's called Who's Giggling Now? But I was there, taught him what I could. He could throw at least 4 balls. Then they switched to my hands on a close up, but I had to shave my arms and whatever. Yeah, I know. So,
that's pretty awesome to shave your arms to be young.
yeah. So then it just happened, and we have been married. We just had our anniversary 7 years ago. So,
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, actually married by a mentalist, Rob Gould, on a rock off of Malibu.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was great.
Is she
But
still writing or retired?
it's it's a hard thing. Her last pitch, so she's doing shows. The last pitch was like a Twilight Zone for teenagers and stuff, really. And she went all the way to the VP of Disney, and they didn't pick it up. And I'm the science consultant on a lot of movies. I don't get a lot of credit. I get no money, but I love consulting on like time travel.
Yeah.
So I have friends, like my friend Greg's a director, other friends who are in the industry who just ask me things like, we need to make cartoon characters come alive. Can you do that? And I'm like, scientifically, that was the biggest challenge. I don't even remember what I did. It was something with the vortex, and I don't know.
Wow.
But
cool.
I make it work. So I love doing that. But the library, and I know I'm rambling without you have any questions.
That's all about you.
Okay. That never happens. I like it to be about the other people.
Not today.
The library here, and I'll turn it this way so you can see
Beautiful.
it. Yeah, it's mostly all magic, and I collect books. I have magic books back to the 1600s, and which I just like to smell because they're really old. But Francis Bacon, I have a Francis Bacon that was supposed to be the first card force, where a magician forces a card on someone in the audience. Did a lot of research, had to learn how to read that old English with the S's that look like F's and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's not. I wrote an article about it. It's actually a Confederate in the audience, where somebody's in the know. So I debunked that. But I have the Francis Bacon book, Silva Severium, which also tells you how to bring back dead people to life, which is fascinating. Yeah, it's The Walking Dead.
Yes.
But it's mostly magic. I've won awards. There's a thing over in the corner, which I'm not sure you can see. Actually, I am pointing at it. But I won the Close-Up Magician of the Year from the Society of American Magicians. It's just eclectic. There's a lot of things.
And that's a top hat?
There's a top hat.
Yeah.
That's a book press that I got at a thrift store from the 1800s.
Wow.
It has no metal in it. It's all with the wooden nails and joints and everything. So, and I got it for like $50.
Oh, way. Wow. What a find.
I am a bibliophile. I go to antiquarian book fairs and things. Ricky Jay, who you may have heard of, I don't know, did a lot of YouTube things and stuff, but he was an avid book collector and stuff, and performed at the Geffen a few times and on TV. Anyway, I would always bump into Ricky. So I have also Tolkien, like everything written by Tolkien and his son, because I love the Lord of the Rings.
Me too.
Yeah. And I have Harry Potter, which is just a funny story. Yeah. Because I was like, everybody was Harry Potter, and I was like, I don't know, it's a kid's thing. I know, I don't want to do it. And then the 4th book came out, Goblet of Fire, I think. Phoenix, I don't remember. But it came out, and I was in Toys R Us, and I open it, and I just read the first 2 pages, and I was like, oh. So I ended up, because I'm a book collector and nut, bibliophile, I got first editions from England and in the US. I have special editions on Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I would recommend it to anybody. I know a lot of people just go, no, but the writing is fantastic. The stories are fantastic.
She's a magician.
Yeah. It's a magical, being a magician, it's
Right.
I want to go to Hogwarts. I
Oh, me
really do.
too. I
I
want to
know.
go so bad. That's
Please let me go there. So,
yes. I've never traveled
yeah,
abroad, and I'm ready to go to England for that reason.
I know.
Kudos.
It's
Yeah.
universal. Yeah.
Oh, we did that.
So,
That's awesome.
have you done it?
Yes, it's awesome. Twice already.
I've never gone.
Oh, you should go. They got the
I know.
train. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Kind of
we
like
love
in
it.
the Universe Studios Orlando.
Yes, that's exactly right. So then I have everything else is mostly magic from what you can see in your eyesight. I have books. I had this for another reason. I have books made.
Really?
Raise it. This is a very big book.
Well, yeah.
It's heavy, but it's the psychology of legerdemain, conjuring, deceptions, impressive digitation, and historical magic documents. Thomas Chilton Meseroll. It's a beautiful
Wow.
book,
Look at that.
but it's all of the psychology of magic back to the 1500s. And I mean, if you look in the back, the page, it looks like, I don't know, like this, the writing.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Yeah.
I mean, it's the old stuff,
Right.
but I put
How
this
impressive.
together. Yeah, I have one of a kind books. So on magic and some other things, I have prop books from my binder who makes like 2 books when they make like
Yeah.
for Pirates of the Caribbean. I got the
How
Bible.
cool.
I have Buffy's books. I love weird books. I have, anyway, but nobody else has them. And I love that. And I love making my own books.
Yeah.
So
How
anyway,
old were you when you started magic? Like what got you into magic?
I was 7, I think. Well, I know because I've told this many times. I was 7. I got a magic kit from my parents for a birthday or Christmas and started playing around with it. Then was really interested in magic. I didn't know about the Society of American Magicians, which has a junior part where for kids learning, and it still has that. So if anybody's interested in magic, you should look that up. There's SAM meetings here on the west side, and there's also out by the Hall of Fame by Pasadena, which is a little further for a lot of people. But if you have children and they're interested in magic, it's free. I mean, you have to pay a $25 a year thing, but it's mostly free. So great thing. But when I was a child, there weren't I didn't have a lot of magician friends. I mean, I was in a little dinky town in New Jersey, but right outside of Princeton. It was like, so found out I went to Disney World, actually. I went to Disney World and went to the magic shop.
Oh.
And I was like, and this guy showed me stuff that was like, I'd never seen, because all I had was the little thing with a little ball, a couple cups, maybe, it was a little toy plastic thing, the magic set I had. But the gentleman was great. I actually purchased some things. One trick I still do to this day. It's my signature trick. It's a card trick. But he told me he said, well, you live in New Jersey. There's a great magic shop in New York called Tannen's Magic Shop. And it is the magic shop in New York. And at the time for the country, they sent out a big catalog every year and everything. And my father would take me in to Tannen's, and I didn't buy a lot of tricks. I bought a lot of books. Yeah. Because and magic actually helped. The magic books helped me like reading, because as a kid I wasn't. Now I'm like reading, but and so I got the books and learned from the books. And then in high school, the Latin teacher at Lawrence High was Teller, and of Penn and Teller fame on TV, the show in Vegas. And we were the only 2 magicians at this time, because he wasn't with Penn yet. He was teaching Latin. So I actually sold my Latin edition of Silva Silverium from 1636 to him, because I thought I would learn Latin for that book. No. So I sold it to him, and I bought the English from 1676. Anyway, so we became very close. He helped me with a big show I did at Rider University, and we shared things on magic, sat and talked about magic all the time. And then he went to a Renaissance fair up in Minnesota, I believe. And that's where he met Penn and this other gentleman, Weir Christopher, who played keyboards. And they formed a group called the Asparagus Valley Cultural Society. They sang a song at the end about hollandaise sauce. It was funny. And Ben's a juggler who actually went to Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey's Clown College. And I think once he realized at the beginning, you have to scoop the poop behind the elephants, that he dropped out. But anyway, so he's a great juggler, fire eater. I don't know if he does that anymore, but he's really good. But so Asparagus Valley, I still have the program from the first show, which is a Xerox piece of paper that they performed at Princeton in this little theater. And I actually was just, Teller just had quadruple bypass. And
wow.
Yeah, it's in the news. So I knew about it. So, and he also had back surgery. So anyway, so Teller and I became very good friends. We still are. Eventually, the Asparagus Valley Cultural Society became Penn and Teller, and they've done rather well.
Yeah, they have. They're great together. I loved them on. I loved them on The Masked Singer. Like, oh my God, they're on the.
I know. Oh yeah, and Teller's been on The Big Bang Theory,
right, yeah,
and all sorts of things. So, Will and Grace, he played it was someone who thought he was a rabbit or something. He was jumping around. I don't know. Teller's great, and he's really smart. Penn is the barker, sort of carnival guy for the show.
Right.
Teller doesn't talk.
Right.
And I tell him it's because Latin is a dead language, but because he taught that. Yeah, it's a bad joke.
I have to honestly say, I'm 62 years old, and I've seen them. I've seen them on TV. When I was at the award show, he talked.
Yes.
And I sat there like I didn't even take a picture. I was
yeah.
Because he talked, and I went, oh. And with my friend, I'm like, they're like, what? I'm
It's
like,
Teller talking.
He's talking. I never heard him talk. It blew me away.
Yeah, that's great, because a lot of people haven't. If you go to their show, have you gone to their show in Vegas?
No, I haven't. I've only seen it on TV, and so I want to go so bad.
It's a great show. Well, now it's dark because of Teller's thing, but they have a meet and greet afterwards, which a lot of the shows have.
Yeah.
And the first person you meet is Teller, and he talks to you, which is really weird, because if you followed their career for many years, he doesn't talk.
Exactly.
So it was nice to see him talk and recognize Max Maven from whatever. So that was really nice to see. But he and I are still close friends. And between the two of us, we went to magic conventions around the country. My parents paid for me, starting at the age of 14, to go to Society of American Magician conferences, because at the time, you could drop off your little kid, 14, whatever, medium kid. And my parents would get to go around Boston. They'd never been to Chicago. They went to Hollywood, Florida. And because they just leave me with the magicians. So, I spent a lot of time. It's like 3 days hanging with magicians who are still my friends. Many have passed away that were great stars. David Copperfield, who I saw his first show, The Magic Man, in Chicago back in 1975. But David, actually, I don't know if I should share this, but my sister tells me not to. He's from Metuchen, New Jersey, and we were from Metuchen, then we moved to Lawrenceville. My sister went to first grade with him, and my sister had had spinal meningitis, chickenpox, and all these things. And she was talking to David Kotkin, that was his name. And she said, and I don't know if this is true. I know what she said is true. I just don't know if this is true. She said, I've had chickenpox twice. And David said, you can't have chickenpox twice, and started, and it was an argument. My sister punched him in the nose. And that evening, my mother got a call from Mrs. Kotkin, and it's like, claim to fame for my sister is she punched David Copperfield.
You go, girl.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so on magic, that's how it all started. Then let's see, I was a bartender and bar manager at an opera restaurant in Santa Monica called Verdi. It closed. It was a really, celebrities went there, all sorts of people. It was a great restaurant, 5-star. And we all became family. I actually married, my first wife was one of the singers. And actually, a lot of people married people from that group because it
Oh,
was really a
cool.
family.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was behind a bar. Of course, I did a lot of magic there. I did strolling magic in Venice. And then I went to school in astrophysics when I was older at UCLA. So I was like 30, actually 28, I'll say. And my wife and I were interested in, we camped a lot in the high country in the Sierras.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I want to be a forest ranger. So I took a geology class and an astronomy class at Santa Monica City College, and I loved the astronomy. And the teacher was just so good. And afterwards, I said, Gary, I want to do this. And he said, Tom, you're 28 years old. You got to retake all your physics that you took, before. And I said, Gary, I work nights. I want to do this. So I went to UCLA and got my PhD. And
Good
there
for
you go. Yeah. But all this time I'm doing magic for people, just sort of casual, right? And then I was hired by Hughes Space and Communications as a systems engineer working on a Milstar program. And that became actually the first big corporate show I did for Hughes. They wanted to hire carolers for the holiday, but the carolers were expensive. So a friend of mine who knew I did magic told the guy, the head of he was a program manager, said, well, Tom does magic. He'd do a show for free. And I was like, okay. And then I started doing big corporate shows. When I worked at Boeing as a director of systems engineering, I did shows for thousands, big shows. And the nice thing is they paid me. So I didn't want to do the same show every year. Yeah. So they paid me, and that paid for the next year of what I was going to do. I will work on it for the year. So I did a lot of that. Later in life, after I joined the castle, I did cruise ships there's magic cruise ships and stuff. So I did that and performed on that. And recently, so I performed in a close-up gallery at the castle. The Magic Castle is the Mecca for magicians, built in 1909. It was the Lane Mansion. There's actually a doppelganger Magic Castle out by Redlands. They actually are like a mirror image. So the castle has a turret here, the other one has a turret here. But if you ever go that way, there's another one. I could look it up on my iPhone, but there's two. But after Mr. Lane passed away, it was sold to the Grovers, who own Yamashiro on the hill, also above the castle. And Mr. Glover split it up into apartments. And it got really not pretty, rickety, and people didn't take care of it. So they were going to demolish it. And then Milt and Bill Larson, Milt wrote for Truth or Consequences, but was also a magician. And Bill was also involved in the industry. But both magicians, their dad was a big-time magician, bought the place. It opened in 1964 as the Magic Castle. And now it didn't used to have this. It has 5 bars, has 4 big showrooms. Well, close-up holds 22, so that's not big. Wow. But 4 showrooms. Milt got all of it. It's a Victorian mansion now. And it's bigger inside than it is outside, which I love to say, because it's the parking lot from one of those apartments was built into the bedrock of the Hollywood Hills. Wow. And it's somebody, I don't know, could be hearsay, that it's the only designated bomb shelter in Hollywood because that's what they say. Wow. But and I got very active at the Magic Castle, but seriously, magicians move from all over the world just to learn join the Magic Castle. You have to audition, which was one of the most nervous things I ever did, more nervous than when I had my dissertation defense. But I'd been doing magic for a long time, so they let me in. But
cool.
Really, they have lectures every Sunday. So you can always go and learn. The library, I was on the library committee. has everything. It's a great library. Guests aren't allowed to go in there, but that's, but
Right.
it's great. So it's kind of like mine, but I have books they don't have.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely put the social media for the Magic Castle. So, but I know
Yeah,
you have to have be a member or know a member to be able to go to the Magic Castle, right?
exactly. Someone knows a member, members can email passes. But I mean, it still is hard to get in. You have to know a member, and there's only like 2,500 of us around the world.
Wow.
So
All right, folks, there you go.
Yeah.
But
So,
still
I mean,
check out the Magic Castle.
yeah, check out the Magic Castle. It's incredible. It really is. So it's magical inside. Right now it's decorated for Halloween, which is just really, really cool.
Gotta go then. I love Halloween.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, I know I'm going next week, but yeah, Judy, let me know and if you want to go. So I can also send you a pass. It's a great place. So there's that.